Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me. And I am back. This is part 2 of 2 of What If Deku had a godly fire quirk. And as always, if you enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And, yeah, it seems like you guys have been enjoying this godly series. So I'm happy to see you guys are enjoying it. And, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. With all that said, though, make sure to check the links in the description and all that good stuff for memberships and all that stuff. Now, yeah, with all that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into it, so let's get it. Izuku Midoriya now sees what's unfolding in the distance. What's unfolding through the TV screen is the fight between All For One and All Might. But the climax of this fight isn't what you are going to think it's going to be, because Izuku watches as All Might begins to lose. And the reason for this is an overwhelming amount of Nomus actually catching the eye of All Might and giving All For One the opportunity to really find his way to back into the battle. And on top of that, we have another figment of a creature approaching extremely quickly. And Izuku sees this, and with no other teachers kind of around, with other teachers, you know, scrambling and other heroes scrambling to try to help out, he immediately would take off, leaving a trail of fire in his wake, and he would be flying at whatever is coming to attack All Might. This creature is Gigantomachia, and it's a massive, massive issue because Izuku, well, he sees that All Might is not only on the back foot, but he is borderline out of the fight. He's taken a blow from All For One, multiple Nomus, and then also now an absolute, basically a shoulder charge from Gigantomachia, sending him flying through multiple buildings. Izuku goes over to try to help, but realizes quickly that they need to do something about this. They need to do something about this fight. The Nomus, the Gigantomachia, everybody, it's so overwhelming. And Izuku would stand in front of a body that, or of All Might, who is sitting there completely out of it. And Izuku is thinking to himself that he needs to do something to help. He needs to do something to stop what they're doing right now. He stands in front of All Might and he tells them that the only way that he's going to be, or only way that All Might is going to die, is if it happens through him. In which Izuku stands there and refuses to allow them to get close, sending blasts of fire and honestly tons of like this molten lava like substance toward these creatures, toward the Nomus and all the above. And Izuku is giving it his absolute all. His skin feels like it's on fire, and he continues to burst into flames over and over again, trying to maintain this level of attack that he's really ensuing. And All For One, he even realizes that this kid, his power is immense. It's insane, but eventually the Nomus would get a hold of him and hold him still, and everybody would start swarming on him. Nomus jumping, punching, kicking, Izuku getting beat senseless as he's trying to help, and the other heroes, all they can do is watch. And All For One laughs in their wait, and All For One walks up toward Izuku and basically tells him that this is over for his young hero career. And Izuku says that all he needed was for them to get close. And he begins to erupt into flames, like a volcano erupting with magma sending all over the place. Izuku begins to erupt into this giant burning sun. And Izuku starts burning through All For One, all the Nomus, and even burning through Gigantomachia. All Might would be helped out and dragged away so that he wouldn't be in the fire that is being created. And All For One is trying to basically stop this from happening, sending anything he can, any quirk that he used or any quirk he can utilize, trying to stop this from happening. And Izuku screams in agony and screams in pain as the flames would get hotter and hotter and hotter. Izuku eventually would create a giant dome of fire that basically is burning everything within it to ashes. And Izuku watches as his body would slowly but surely burn. And on top of that, everybody else, the Nomus, Gigantomachia, and All For One would burn with him. And eventually, all of it would be still. Everything would stand still. And all you could see for literal, like, we're talking at least 2 miles. Luckily, people were able to get out of the way. Is just ash. Burn buildings completely to the ground. Izuku no longer controlling what hurt, what could be hurt, and who could be hurt. He knew that this was the end-all be-all. The fact that everyone was evacuated for the most part. Luckily, All Might was able to get out of harm's way with other heroes. But yes, like in like a almost 2-mile radius, Izuku burned everything to a crisp, from homes to even the villains that lay there in his wake. And all there is left over is ashes. And everybody is in shock. Everybody is in complete and utter shock, thinking that Izuku is gone. There's nothing left of him. There's nothing. But he stopped the villains. He stopped All For One. He stopped that giant creature they had no answer for. But he did it by killing them. And everybody, well, they clean up the entire place, gathering the ashes, and not even thinking like, what are they going to do? It's not like they can celebrate Izuku's ashes, because partially is filled with Nomus and All For One and all these other people and all these other creatures. But they have to celebrate him. They take all the ashes and they kind of dispose of them how you would think, and they would put them away for now, putting them in kind of like a excluded area, in a place that no one would be able to find them. And on top of that, cleaned up the entire area, and soon they would have a funeral for Izuku Midoriya. A funeral for the one that many looked at as the next up-and-coming hero. And Izuku, he would be gone. Everybody would sing his praises. Everybody would talk on who he was. But there were people out there that believed that he was no hero. That the kid burned up buildings. Families lost their homes. And Izuku took it upon himself to do that. And, well, All Might would stand up for the kid with the people and tell the people that lost their homes, people that lost, this or that. He tells them that a kid lost his life protecting him, protecting All Might, protecting all of them. And just so they all know that this kid is not some ordinary kid. At the end of the day, a mother lost her son. And everybody stands there in silence as they give a vow of silence for Izuku Midoriya, and they would then burn a flame in his honor. And Izuku, well, he would be gone. He'd be gone. And everybody, they would go with throughout their business normally. They would go throughout whatever they have to do normally. And they still have the thought of Izuku Midoriya in their back of their minds, not thinking about if anything will come of it. Not thinking if Izuku one day will show up, or if one day they'll ever see him once again. For a kid who felt borderline invincible, for a kid that they looked at as someone who had powers beyond belief, it seems odd to think that he fell short, that he passed on, that he lost. How? How did he lose? And so many people there, so many, Todoroki, Bakugo, so many hold on to this grief for such a long time. Through their provisional hero license exam, through their work studies, they hold this grief tighter than you could possibly imagine. Not only did Izuku lose his own life, but the number one hero, All Might, he's gone as well. Not necessarily by death, but he's gone because his powers are gone. But there's someone to hold the mantle, someone to continue that mantle, and that was Mirio Togata. Nobody knew of it just yet, but Mirio was holding on to the powers that were there, the powers that were ensuing, and well, all they could think about is the fact that, well, a kid died, a student, a hero passed on, and they're gonna have to really show everyone that they are the next generation. And just because they lost one of their best students, their best heroes, it doesn't mean that they're stopping just yet. And the next kind of challenge they're going to have is Overhaul. is the invasion of the Shichibukai. But this is no joke. This is not easy. This is far from easy. And it's, at the end of the day, not going to be an easy thing for anybody to handle. And Izuku, well, from the other life, from the fiery pits of wherever he's came from, well, he's watching. He's watching closely, hoping, wondering, and wishing that he could help. Because Izuku Midoriya, he's not dead. Not necessarily. He's in a different space, a different area, a different plane. Not heaven, not hell, but a fiery kind of paradise. It's odd. He doesn't know what it is, where it is, and what's happening, but he watches. From the flames that surround him, the ones that don't even feel heat, Izuku Midoriya watches. Watches as Overhaul and his base would get invaded, but he also watches as the heroes slowly but surely lose their footing, and as Mirio Togata would get shot with a bullet that would cancel and or get rid of his quirk. He would watch as Sir Night-Eye would be fighting for his life. He watches and he wants. He would smack on whatever's in front of him. He would burn everything that's around him, screaming that he could help. Let him help. Let him go. Let him go. But nothing. No words, no nothing. Nothing surrounds him. No person, no God, no nothing. Nothing. He wonders, why can't he just go? Why can't he help them? And then he looks closely. He looks closely at the fight that's occurring between Sir Night-Eye and Overhaul. And all he can think about is all he needs is a chance. All he needs is a moment. And well, that moment would eventually come. Because Izuku would see a spark on the ground. A spark that would lead to a little flame, and Izuku would feel that there's something there that he could go through, that he can enter, he can join, and eventually he would focus so heavily that his body would turn to ashes once again, and then his revival would ensue. A creature of some sorts, a phoenix, would be born from this small flame sitting behind Overhaul, and Overhaul would be in shock. What the hell is that? Izuku would form into this phoenix and go flying toward Overhaul, smacking him into a wall and burning him so badly that he is completely out of oxygen and knocked out entirely. The phoenix would float above. The flame begins to dissipate as it would basically travel over to Izuku, dissipating entirely on the ground, and Izuku would float in the air, wings flapping, and the phoenix staring at Sir Night-Eye. Sir Night-Eye is confused. What the hell is that? What's happening? What is going on? And eventually, the phoenix would then crumble to dust, to ashes, but then the ashes would light a blaze, and as the blaze would be so bright, not even their eyes could truly see it. And immediately when Sir Night-Eye would watch as the brightness would go away, and as he can look once again, he would see something. The kid. He would see the green hair, the green suit, and he would see Izuku Midoriya. He would be looking at Sir Night-Eye, and he would tell him that he was watching everything, watching it all, and he hopes that it wasn't too big of a deal, that he was, he decided to hop in and help out. In which Sir Night-Eye is in shock. This is the same kid that died. He's the same kid that sacrificed his life for All Might. In which they cuff Overhaul really quickly. They get everyone else in cuffs and all these people, and Sir Night-Eye walks up to Izuku. And Izuku says he knows that he doesn't know him, and he knows, but as he's about to say more, Sir Night-Eye gives him a hug. And he tells him that he thanks him for saving All Might. And he wonders, how did he even get here? How is this even possible? And Izuku looks at him and says, he doesn't know. He doesn't. He doesn't know if he's going to be here forever, or if he doesn't know if he's going to be here for a short amount of time. But it seems like The fire once burned once again, and the fire and the flame was burning brighter than ever. And Izuku tells him that as long as he's here, he's going to make the most of it. And Izuku begins to head out to everyone, and a lot of people want explanations, but Izuku really, he doesn't have them. He doesn't really have any explanations for anybody. He doesn't really have any information for anybody. He really doesn't have anything for anybody. I mean, everyone's confused. Everyone's kind of like, what the hell is happening? What's going on? And at the end of the day, Izuku is none the wiser. But he does tell him that he was gifted a chance, gifted an opportunity, and he will not squander it. This opportunity being that he has risen once again from the ashes of his own body, and whatever brought him back gave him powers beyond belief. And whatever brought him back gave him the ability to truly still stand with everybody here. Now, for starters, he would go through quite a lot of predicaments. I mean, at the end of the day, he was dead. So they have to figure out all that. Secondly, he literally killed a bunch of people. Like, that is something that definitely happened, which he won't be let off on necessarily, but he won't be in massive trouble. But there is a court of public opinion, and there's people, quite a few of them, even though All Might believes that he should be let off. All Might believes that Izuku, he did nothing wrong, at least necessarily. And but there's still a court of public opinion, and a lot of them believe that Izuku's not really fit to be a hero, at least not yet, and far from it. And Izuku says that he'll do whatever it takes. He'll go through what he has to go through, and Izuku goes through his schooling, same as he always would. And at the end of it all, at the very end, when he's graduating from UA High School, there's still questions. Still a lot of questions. A ton of them. Questions on if Izuku should be allowed to still become a hero. If Izuku should truly be a hero, even though, well, he did the things he did. It might have been for the good of whatever, for the safety of everyone else, but it doesn't mean that people didn't die. Doesn't mean that people didn't pass on, and it doesn't mean that damage wasn't made. But Izuku says that he doesn't care if he becomes a hero, is a hero, or is this or that, as long as everyone was safe, as long as the safety was ensured, that is what matters. And hearing this sways a lot of people. And frankly, there isn't enough people now that don't believe that Izuku Midoriya is a hero or could potentially be a great hero for them to, make a decision like not allowing Izuku to eventually become the hero he believes he could truly be. And that right there is the reality. That right there is what's going to happen. And Izuku Midoriya, after his 3 years, his 3 long years of being at UA, and after his 3 years of training, working hard, and doing all of these crazy things, he would finally have his chance to become a full-fledged hero. Finally gaining his chance to become the hero he knows he can be. And there's one person that not only vouches for him, not only believes in him, but one person that wants him to basically move up and be a top hero right beside him, and that is Sir Night-Eye. Someone who is very, very high on Izuku Midoriya, and someone who really, really thinks that Izuku has a place in this beyond anyone else. And of course, there also is Mirio Togata, who believes very highly as well of Izuku Midoriya, leading them to taking him under their wing, and eventually all of those doubts of him becoming a hero, all of those doubts about, could he do this? Could he do that? Is he ready? Should he be held accountable for what he did? All of those questions, well, they were answered. And everybody in the court of public opinion would eventually realize that Izuku Midoriya is truly going to be their hero and is truly going to be the next big hero before you even know it. And that's exactly what he does. He blazes a kind of trail for himself and becomes a hero that not only did many expect him to be, but also what a lot of people couldn't even imagine what he could be. From the ashes to the flames, Izuku Midoriya has now arrived once again, and he has proven from when he was a student to now that he was a hero, or now that he is a hero, he would sacrifice his own life to save everyone that surrounds him, and he'll do that without a single question. But that right there is where this story ends. The story of Izuku Midoriya having a godly fire quirk. And if you enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this series, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.